Welcome, everybody, to this GPS presentation. My name is Steve Michael, and I'm extremely excited to be in the presence of four other outstanding men to share a little bit of information tonight about what I'd consider to be a world-class nutritional product line here at Pure. We call it the GPS line. We're going to talk a little bit about the science behind our products tonight, a little bit behind the application behind them. We're going to give you a great story coming from a coach out of SMU to share a little bit of his story and why he's a part of this company, both from a product standpoint as well as the business side of it. And then we're going to wrap the call up with one of the greatest leaders that this company has today, in Coach Jason Johns out of the state of Texas. Before we get started with Rich Scheckenbach on the science side of it, I've been part of Pure now for about 10 years, and been part of the nutritional industry for almost 2 decades. I've tried a lot of different products over that time. I was a high school strength and conditioning coach. Came to the industry not looking for a business, which I did find, but came to the industry looking for a product line. I've had the opportunity to use products that were formulated by one of the gentlemen on this call, Rich Scheckenbach, over the last 20 years. And I found the products to be a product line that has been able to not only get my athletes as a high school strength and conditioning coach to the level of performance that I've always wanted them to be at, but have also helped me on the nutritional side of it and my family to be also healthy and as well. But on the sports nutrition side of it, one thing I like to mention that where Pure is today, that I think sets us ahead of some of the other products in the industry, is what's called Informed Sports Certified. And now there's a couple different agencies out there that do certification for products. We've chosen to go with Informed Sports Certification. I think it's the highest level of certification you can get. It allows me, as a person that not only utilizes the products myself, but talks to coaches and parents about using the products for their kids, or the collegiate athlete or the professional athlete, and knowing that our products have reached the highest level of certification so that they're not going to run into any issues using our product line. Now, with that being said, as I said, there's other agencies out there that do the testing, but I want to be very clear about what I think sets us apart using the Informed Sports Certification, and that is this. Each time that Pure orders a new batch of products, those products go directly to Informed Sports Certification before they even get back to the warehouse of Pure to be distributed to those that are purchasing the product. And they are double tested. In other words, 2 samples are taken from each batch, and they're tested for the authenticity that they need to reach, or the levels of certification they need to reach in order to be certified by that agency. Once they're certified, then they get sent on to us for distribution. And I think that's important, because this is what I know about that industry. The vast majority of other agencies that do testing, they don't do that batch testing in a double sample. Not only do they not do it in a double sample, they only do it in a single sample. But in addition to that, the other agencies only require sampling to be done at the direction of the corporation. And that's where I think Informed Sports Certification has taken it to a whole new level, where they take us out of the equation and say, if you're going to get our certification on the product so that you feel confident marketing these products to, whether it's a high school student, a parent of a high school student, a collegiate athlete, or a professional athlete, we're going to make sure that the certification meets the level that we want it to meet. And so, I think it's really important on the front end of this call to know that the products that we're talking about tonight are Informed Sports Certified, and they've reached the highest level of certification. So, if you're like me, a dad whose boys and girls have used these products over the course of their high school career, you have the confidence of knowing, dad to dad, dad to mom, that the product is a product that you can be confident in helping your son or daughter perform at a high level. If you're a collegiate athlete, you're obviously going to hear from a college coach tonight. If you're a collegiate athlete using the products, then you're going to know that the Informed Sports Certification here at Pure with our GPS line has reached the highest level for you to be confident that the product is going to meet the standards that you need it to meet, as well as at the elite levels of competition. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the call over now to a good friend of mine, kind of our chief formulator, if you will, here at Pure. Just let me share a little bit about who Rich Scheckenbach is. I like to say that he is likely the most sought-after formulator in the industry today. He's got over 42 years in the dietary supplement industry, functional food industry, natural products. He's formulated, consulted for over 130 plus companies worldwide with regard to nutritional products and supplementation. He's affiliated with at the professional level, the Olympic level, NASCAR, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, you name it. Rich's fingers are with those organizations. Why? Because they trust him. They know that the products that Rich is going to produce are going to be products that they can put into world-class athletes' bodies, and it's going to help them perform at an optimal level. But here's the key thing, and I know Rich would tell you this: the products weren't necessarily formulated for that level of an athlete. They were formulated for, well, the guys on this call right now. They were formulated for our young athletes, if you will. They were formulated for the average person trying to achieve an optimal results in athletic performance. But they work so well that they're used at the elite levels of competition. He's developed numerous proprietary ingredients. He's got his undergraduate studies in bacteriology, virology, molecular biology, and biochemistry. But what that really means is he's a very smart man. He's got his PhD studies in microbiology and biochemistry. So without further ado, I think I've said enough about Rich Scheckenbach. I'm going to bring Rich on here to share a little bit about the science and what separates the GPS line from all others in the industry.
Steve, thanks very much for that very kind introduction, and thanks for asking me to be on the meeting call tonight here. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, it's as much as I would like to take a lot of credit for what has been produced as you've represented it in the way of products, much of that, the gratitude and the background material comes from thousands and thousands of scientists who have produced thousands and thousands of research studies that have resulted in papers in the scientific literature that we've drawn upon. And so we don't just rely on hearsay. You know, it's important to get the real validated science to put into the products. We look at studies that are relevant to sports nutrition, and that includes biochemistry, physiology, organic chemistry, phytochemistry, the study of botanicals. These are all very important aspects of what goes into the products. And in addition to looking at those studies, we work with colleagues around the globe who are currently working in areas that are beneficial to our producing quality products, efficacious products. And you know, one of the people who I've had the great pleasure of working with is the father of sports biochemistry, Dr. Nikolai Volkov. I should say the late Dr. Volkov. He left us about 3 years ago. I still work very closely with his protege, Dr. Vladimir Alanyikov. Dr. Volkov was just an absolute wealth, an absolute treasure of studies in sports biochemistry. He started his studies back in the 50s, proceeded through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, just an incredible individual learning about what the body processes, what makes the body function at its highest level using natural products. You'll see a lot of the work that he did reflected in the GPS line in terms of looking at ADAPT, for instance. We have Mumio in ADAPT. Mumio was unknown in the Western world prior to Dr. Volkov opening up his book of studies to me and some colleagues of mine back in 1990. So we've been able to draw upon the wealth of information that this man had developed over several decades. You look at the rebuild formulation containing that proprietary blend that he created of creatine, inosine, and the branched chain amino acids, very effective in producing strength and endurance in athletes. So the formulations are scientifically based. The choosing of ingredients and the amounts of those ingredients are based on the science. The selection of the particular ingredients that are used in the formulas, then, we want to make sure that we're using the physiologically correct forms of the materials so that we get the best effect from them. We're looking for high quality, high purity, and of course, efficacious materials. And finally, those all come together and are meticulously crafted into tablets and capsules, powders in our NSF certified, our best GMP compliant laboratories here in the USA. And then, as you mentioned, Steve, very important, the third-party testing that goes on by Informed Sport, just a real critical piece of the puzzle in terms of not only looking at what's in the product, but what's not in the product, so that you are guaranteed when you look at the label, that is exactly what you're getting in the product. Nothing more, nothing less. Safe, efficacious, consistent products that are consistent batch to batch. Now, looking just real briefly at the GPS product line, it's very cohesive and very concise in that it's comprised of just 6 products, and yet with those 6 products, we're able to address all of the phases of the activity cycle. That goes from pre-workout, or the preparation of the body for activity, to the active or working phase, where we're actually performing or training, to the post-workout or recovery phase, where the body is recalibrating, refilling those reservoirs of nutrients and energy compounds that it utilizes during activity. And we take it even one step further than in the GPS line by also incorporating the circadian rhythms of the body, those daily rhythms that the body goes through, changing our biochemistry on an hourly basis. And so we utilize those circadian rhythms also, so that we know that we are getting the most important aspect of rest, of HGH mediated, that's human growth hormone mediated tissue repair, muscle growth, repair. The very simple, very comprehensive 6-product GPS line is able to offer full support, so that we now can enjoy a more enhanced performance, better strength gains, and improved body composition. And that's all done in a very simple system, as you pointed out. Look at this system in its entirety. Each of the products have their particular place within it, but the system is very simple with 6 products to address all the needs of the active body. And with that, let me hand it back to you, Steve. And again, thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about the science behind the products.
Absolutely, Rich. Thanks a million, man. What an education that's been. You know, if you had any questions before the call started about how the products are formulated, how well they're formulated, we probably answered that already. So we could probably cut the call off, but we're not going to. Rich, thank you so much, man. I love how you talked about just the even before informed sports certification, the other requirements that have to be met by our standards here at Pure in order to even move the product into the manufacturing phase and then into the informed sport certification. And then also talking about, again, the systematic approach to this GPS line and how it helps all phases of the body. And thank you so much for being such an intricate piece of the puzzle of putting together a product line that those of us who do this on the business side can feel extremely confident about reaching out to people and saying, this product line is as good as there is in the industry today to help you perform at an optimal level. So thank you, Rich, for your time tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you, Steve.
All right, now we're going to move on to Coach Mark Paulsen, a great friend of mine, not only a man that is extremely well-versed in how to help an athlete perform at an optimal level, but a person that has taken this business and has grown his own business to an extremely high level within the Pure level, the Presidential Black Diamond level. He and his wife, Christine, live out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A little bit about Coach P. 1981, he's at the University of Kansas. You know, he's one of those stories that you just don't hear very often, but it tells you the athletic ability that he brought to the table. He was on a track scholarship. In fact, he was part of the number 1 ranked Kansas Jayhawks in the track and field back when he was a senior. Plays football for 1 season and gets drafted in the NFL. So, you know, not many guys can say that that's the route they took, but that was his route. Went on to get his degree in exercise science, and then he spent a number of years at Kansas, South Carolina, Long Beach State before he finally in 1987 settled at New Mexico, where he was the director of strength and conditioning or athletic performance there. Mark is the 1997 NCAA National Strength Coach of the Year. He's one of the first 10 master strength coaches ever. You know, his resume is a resume that says he knows an awful lot about strength and conditioning. He was a pioneer in the industry back in the day. He paved the road, I would say, for guys like Coach Kaz, who's going to come on here in a minute.